clue.
I'm definitely going to grab the Funko Pop when that comes out. I don't collect a lot of that stuff anymore. I do have a lightsaber on the wall in my studio. But that would be really cool if you're immortalized in a Funko Pop nowadays.
Thank you. No, I agree.
I actually wanted to go back and ask you about Bright, because I had watched the behind the scenes with some of the makeup artistry there. Was that as grueling as it looked?
For me, it was because, again, just like Gekko, they put a lot of work into Gekko. That took me 2 hours. But for this one, being one of the orcs, this was just basically just like the Tradosians you see in the canteen in episode 1 and 3. It was just a one piece. So the only thing that you need to be just mentally prepared for is just the fact that it's very snug. Your mind can go one of two ways. It's just like going down a pipe water slide. You either feel comforted or you start freaking out. So it's funny because when I did Frankenstein the first time and I was with Brian Stipe actually worked on that as well. We didn't know each other personally at that time. I freaked out when they put the mask on me because it's not a Halloween mask. It does not give you any type of wiggle room at all. And there is a moment to where you might have a sip through or breathe through a straw, which will make you freak out for a minute or so. Just because it's really, you can see how real it looks, some of this makeup. But that was just a one piece. The greatest thing, if I can just add a story to that, similar to Hugh Jackman working in 2002 with Will Smith. The reason these guys are movie stars is not just for luck. A lot of times they say, you have to get lucky, whatever. It's the hard work and the passion and determination that they put in and day out. We were on the 14th hour. We're doing this sort of ritual thing with Joel Edgerton where he's being dipped into some kind of hole of some sort there. I don't know what's going on. But anyhow, we're in some kind of a ritualistic church. Mm-hmm. And the energy that Will Smith had on the 13th and 15th hour, to where we're all just kind of dragging with the director, I believe it's David Ayer from Suicide Squad, was just absolutely second to none. And it was such an inspirational experience to see his positive energy day in and day out. And it was so, and the same with you, in that it's just so inspiring to see them where they have enough money for 5 lifetimes, but they still give 110% even in the 13th and 15th hour.
Yeah, it truly shows, when you have an actor who really enjoys what they're doing. They're not doing it for the paycheck or the payoff or the cash in. It's because they enjoy doing it and that they really want their viewers to believe what's being told.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. And the great thing is for all of us is, to make sure, I've been telling my sons too, we've been talking about finances and college now. My oldest son is 14. I said, please, no matter what, Dante, because, obviously we talk about mansions and fancy cars. I say, no matter what, make sure you do what you love. Make sure you do what makes you happy, because to me, ultimately, as much as it's been a struggle through all the odd jobs, I can't tell you how grateful I am that I never gave up and I followed my dream. Because even though, every now and then it might be 15 minutes of fame every 2 or 3 months, there was no better joy than knowing that you worked hard. You maybe, drove Uber or worked for a moving company or whatever you're doing. Even, say somebody's a Walmart cashier. Yeah. It doesn't matter. If you have your eyes on that dream, I tell you, in my own opinion, you will have more fulfillment in your life through pursuing that dream as opposed to just succumbing sometimes to the regular day-to-day salary where it's a comfort check, but also at the same time, I don't feel it's the 100% fulfillment that we all strive for.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I know a lot of people end up starting off in like you said, kind of those one-ofs or those blue-collar ones. But have you ever done a commercial?
Yeah. There's actually one for Farmer Boys. It's a local restaurant chain here, like a burger chain, very casual. And okay. I play a very angry detective, and their mascot is a scarecrow. So I'm going in and I'm interrogating the scarecrow. So it's kind of a funny little thing. I'm happy to send it to you guys if you ever have a link or anything like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But the only thing, I don't mean to get into detail with the business. The only thing I don't like with commercial auditions is they'll call in 100 to 150 people. And with television and film, they narrow it down to a specific type. So when you go in for TV and film, you're going up against 15 to 20 actors. But for commercials, I've kind of dug my feet in the sand. I've been a little stubborn with it. Yeah. Just because out of respect to other actors, I don't like the fact that they call in so many people. So yes. It's still out there for me. My agent gets mad at me. I have no ego at all. But it's just the issue of if you were to go for job applications and know there's 15 people online or there's 150, you're going to be a little bit more discouraged to go on those 150 lineups there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I was always curious because it's always amazing when you come across an actor who, eventually hits that A-list. Like you look at someone like Keanu Reeves and all his John Wick movies and everything he's done, and yet he started off doing a cornflakes commercial.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We have one with Nationwide Insurance. Megan. Oh God, she's the star of the not Megan Rapinoe, not Rapinoe, but one of the other stars of the women's soccer team, championship soccer team. I was part of that as well. But yeah, no, absolutely. For me, it's going to be, there he is on a lot of the TV shows, and this dreaded B movie I unfortunately did called Megalodon. It was one of the asylum films.
My God. That.
Yep.
It's those movies where it's like so bad it's good, but the problem is when you're a strong actor, they're giving you 15 pages to film a day because they're on such a low budget. Mm-hmm. So, it doesn't really give you the opportunity to kind of work the movie. They're trying to do a $100 million film with like $50,000. So chances are it's going to be very campy and cheesy. Hopefully one day they're going to say, hey, I saw you in Megalodon, and I'm always going to turn beet red just because of that. But, look, again, same thing. You got to take the work. I know that David, I forget his name. He started in NYPD Blue, but his first job, he was talking to an ice cream cone,
Yep.
So.
Yeah. It's just like Bruce Campbell, how many campy stuff he does, but he is so loved because of the cult classics that follow it. And it's like, you look at movies like Sharknado, it's ridiculous, but people love them. So it's not to say that you're not going to come across a Megalodon mega fan out there who's going to say this was fantastic.
A Megalo fan.
Yeah, I certainly have. It's so funny, and it was so funny because I had a few props, and this one guy was like really gushing, and I'm like, really? I'm like, listen, I said, send me your address because I've got I've got the cigar I use with Michael Madsen, and I've got my streeper pads. I said, go ahead, please. Being the one fan, I'm very flattered. But
that's amazing.
Look,
it's great that you're a good sport about it too. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I do have to ask you, and I know that it maybe it's something you can't deny and or say that it is possible, but because this is Star Wars and you are such a huge fan and you've got such a big collection at home, what was it like? Were you tempted to be like, I need this for my collection?
Oh, need what?
Just anything that you came across on set.
Oh, yeah. Oh God, it's so funny because over the years, the thing is it's a very tightly knit community. So yes, in the back of my mind, absolutely. The one great thing is these fans have been so amazing that they literally even created my own blaster. I gave him all the details from it. But yes, when I'm at the bar in episode 3, you've got a really clear shot of me and Chris Bartlett, who plays Zero. He's a good friend of mine. And that tracking fob's going off. And I'll tell you, right before lunch, I had that tracking fob in my hand, and it's completely operational. I've got a few of them going to be selling on my tour. But oh my God, you definitely want to put in your pocket. But the thing is, again, it's like the mafia. I mean, if you were to take anything. But I had a really funny story though. I had the Shawshank Redemption kind of moment, where they keep putting dirt in their boot and shaking it out every day to escape. Well, during the standoff in Navarro, it was a huge battle scene. It was even more that they filmed. So every day there would be some black dirt that went in my boot. And then even in our dressing room, we were being watched. And so I would take that black dirt and I'd put it in my pocket. And there was a huge comic book fan before the show came out, and he was just such a good friend. I gave him a vial, and I was nervous actually because I'm like, wait, if I send this to the post office, they're going to think like this is any kind of like anthrax or something. Cause I almost mailed him, and I'm like, dude, I'm afraid to send this out. But I sent him the black dirt, and hopefully it's well kept in a nice vial with a nice shadow box frame with the Mandalorian figure there, and hopefully a Gekko figure one of these days.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It'd be funny if you got like a cease and desist letter from Disney. They're like, we're missing 30 grams of dirt from set.
They just weigh it all at the end of the day.
Oh, please. I'm holding my breath until the end of the tour. I'm like, please don't email me. Please don't email me until I'm done with the tour, But, thankfully, they've been really cool. And like I said, I know they know about me, and God willing, we'll continue on. I understand there's going to be 5 seasons. And step 1 will be hopefully getting that Marvel comic book. I've already read issue 1 and 2 of Star Wars Bounty Hunters, by Ethan Sachs and Paolo Benelli. So hopefully, God willing, we'll be able to rise up here and become hopefully the next Forlom or Zuckuss there.
For sure. And I don't know if you've ever read it. There was a book that came out not too long ago called The Bounty Hunter Tales. And
Okay.
it was a novel, and it basically went back after the whole scene in Sky City, and it followed each one of those bounty hunters and what happened to them next, and including Boba Fett getting out of the Sarlacc pit and approaching General Solo, and he was quite old. So
wow.
in a final standoff. So it's
we're hopeful. I've been getting a lot of fan fiction. I've got a few short stories on my page, Lair the Gekko. But yeah, I mean, and then even on Wikipedia, a gentleman created a planet even for me called Sharadon or Sharadian species. So the fans have just been absolutely amazing. But we just wanted to come from the Gold Palace above at the top floor of Disney, so we get that true canon blessing throughout all the fan fiction, not fan fiction, but the true canon stories there.
Yeah, for sure. Excellent. Well, how about we move into the second part of our show and get on with Maddie's rapid fire questions.
Rapid fire questions.
Perfect.
All right, let's start it off. So you can take a little bit of time to answer. Don't think you're under the gun here. If you can't think of it, just say pass, and we'll move on to the next one.
Okay.
All right, here we go. What made-up word would you register into the English language?
Oh, I want Gekko to speak a certain language, so I would say to make the word Huttese official.
Okay.
All right. What's the scariest dream that you can remember?
Sleep paralysis, to where you're being dragged away or you're trying to yell at somebody, but you can't get the words out because your jaw and everything is kind of trapped and frozen as you're trying to scream at somebody in the dream.
Wow. I've had that, and that does suck.
Yeah.
What superpower do you wish you had?
Just the Jedi Force,
Yes.
where you're able to push somebody back.
Excellent. Force push.
What's your earliest childhood memory?
My parents, they were two hot-headed Italian Americans, and they tried to save the marriage in Hawaii. They moved to Hawaii. They thought that maybe perhaps, they could, in an area of paradise, they can maybe get along better. So it was just, the smell of my father's, deodorant and, being put on one of those air mattresses, while there was a party or a gathering in Waikiki, probably when I was 2 years old or so. That's about as early as I can go back. Yeah.
Wow.
That's early. That's amazing. What activity makes you the happiest?
I enjoy performance. The adrenaline rush of that standoff in Navarro. I wish I could have taken every Star Wars fan inside my body because I get what's called tunnel vision. It's almost like the Matrix where the universe leaves you and all of a sudden you go into that world. And a lot of times when I'm doing modern day crime dramas, you don't really feel that magic. But for me, growing up with the science fiction films, the reason I want to be a part of this industry, it just made it extremely magical to have been amongst that universe, the Star Wars universe, our beloved universe, during that week. So really it is performance, but performance in some of my favorite genres, which is obviously sci-fi and Star Wars.
Yeah, amazing.
Great answer. What foreign language would you most like to learn?
I enjoyed German. I like the firmness of it, the strength. Before we had children, I started to learn it just a little bit. I know I'm partial in Italian, but with German, I just enjoy the strength of that language.
Nice.
Cool. If you could pick a decade to live in for a little while, which one would you choose?
Oh, hands down, the 1950s. I'm not a huge, believer in all the little, crazy beliefs that go out there in terms of reincarnation, but I've always loved 50s music. Even when I was a kid, I loved Dion and the Belmonts. It's really odd that I loved Harry Connick Jr. versus like Metallica or Def Leppard or Poison. I'd be listening to freaking Dion and the Belmonts while I'm washing the dishes or doing chores in the house. So really, it was the 1950s. Awesome. I felt like there was a level of innocence. I felt like the love between a man and a woman was really just so connected back then. I'm not extremely religious, but just that purity of maybe, meeting your high school love and having that person with you the rest of your life to where you're not having 30 to 50 hookups in this day and age of independence with men and women. I actually love that innocence where I would have loved to have had that level of innocence as well, to just have that one true love and to, grow old together and such. And happy to be married in for 25, be together for 25 years with my wife. But ultimately, that era seems just a lot more pure in certain ways in terms of the tradition of marriage, which I always appreciate.
Yeah, 100% on board with that vision. That is absolutely amazing. Well said.
Do you have a go-to joke?
No.
No?
Fair. That's fair.
Because you don't, or because you don't want to tell it?
Oh yes, no, actually,